Hey guys, this is going to be section 4.8, curve fitting with exponential logarithmic models. This is going to be a fairly short and probably very easy lesson because this is really going to be the fourth time you've seen pretty much the exact same thing. We're doing regressions, and so the steps don't really change from any of the other regressions we've done. So I'm going to look at some of the problems you have. So this is the paper you have. I want to jump ahead just a little bit. I'm picking problem number 4 right here, just because it had two parts to it, and I wanted to show how to do both parts. I'm going to pull up my calculator and clear this all out. So whenever we do regression, we're going to go to the Stat button. We hit Enter on Edit, and we put our data in L1 and L2, and of course we put our X's in L1, our Y's in L2. So I'm going to go up, hit Clear, not Delete, hit Clear, Enter, come over here, up, Clear, Enter, okay? And so, it even tells me, here's my X's, here's my Y's. So my X's are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 250, 330, 580, 800, 1650, 3000. Okay, so there's my X's, there's my Y's. I need to run my regression, so we hit Stat, go over to Calc, and so let's think about some of the ones we've done. We've done linear regression, we've done quadratic regression, we've done cubic regression, I think we even did a quartic regression. So we're going down to EXP, exponential regression. Number 0 is exponential. So I'm going to hit Enter. My X-list is in L1, my Y-list is in L2, so I can just go down to Calculate. And I get this right here. And it says, we'll write an exponential regression model of this data and round all values to the nearest thousandth. Well, let's think about that. That's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. That's 3 decimal places. Okay, so if I put this like that, there we go. We'll write out what would my regression look like. Okay, so my regression is going to be my A number, which is 215.98, and it's 2 and then 8, so I'm going to say 3, parentheses. Alright, so that's my A times, and that's why I put P in parentheses. My B is 1.652, close parentheses, and here it lets me put an exponent up here, and so I put an exponent of x. Well, let's say you have trouble figuring out how to type in an exponent of x. Well, all you need to do is hit, on my keyboard it's Shift 6, that little symbol right there, that symbol, and then x. This is the notation that means exponent x. So if you can't actually make it that exponent actually appear really small up there, you can just use this right here, and I'll know that means exponent. Okay, so there's my model. So I did the model, it said to the nearest thousandth. And then the second part of this says, well, assuming this trend continues, use this equation to estimate to the nearest 10 the number of bacteria in the colony at the end of 7 hours. Well, there's 2 ways I could do this. The first way is, oh, I need both ways to get off of this. I could type this into my y1 equation, as far as into y equals, and then just figure out and then the graph, or I could just type it into an equation and put that number in for x. So we'll try to do both. So I need to remember 215,982, that. Alright, so I'm going to screenshot it, FM print screen. There we go. close that out. There we go. So I have that right there. And so if I type in, do I lose it? Yeah, I do. So I need to pull up my paint, see if this works. Paste. And there we go. That way I can have what I did earlier. Okay, so there was the screen I did earlier. I didn't have something to write it down with, so I had to do it that way. So I could type in my equation, 215.982, 983, excuse me, parentheses, 1.652, close parentheses, and then my exponent is not going to be x. My exponent is going to be the value they're asking me for. Well, they're asking me for x is 7 hours. So they're saying when x is 7 hours, what are you going to get? So I'll hit enter, and I get this right here, and it tells me to round to the nearest 10. So I'll say, okay, well, round to the nearest 10, that's there. So my answer would be 7250. That would be my answer. Another way I could do this, and this way would work regardless of whether I had, they're asking me for an X or a Y. So the method I just did works really well if they give me an X and ask me for a Y. Well, let's say they give you the Y value and ask you for the X. So you could do a little bit of algebra, or I can just plug into Y1. So hit the Y equals button, 215.983 parentheses 1.652 close parentheses, and this time I am going to put the X up there because we're going to make this for all X's. I'll hit the graph button, and I see it kind of barely appear on my screen. That's okay. I'm not too concerned about what the graph looks like because actually I'm after the table. Okay, and so here's my table of X values. So my X values here, I'll come back over here. Here's 1, well, let's go 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they should match this fairly closely, and they do. I can scroll down and then look for 7, and look, there's the answer that I got for 7. Okay, so this is the other way I could have gotten. There's 7, and there's my number, and so this just works for any value of X. I just scroll into the X value I want and look at the Y value. What's great about this is that if they ask me for a Y value, let's say they ask me for 30,000. Well, I'd search and say, okay, what's the first one to get 30,000? Well, this is the first time it passes 30,000. So it would be an X value of 10. So at 10 hours is the first time it passes 30,000. Okay, so there you go. If I scroll down a little bit farther, I should get the one that asked me for... Nope, I don't. I thought I had one that asked me for a logarithmic regression, but I don't believe it does. Alright, there you go. That's it.